When I was a teenager, like, well, first of all, growing up, my family was like, we're poor, you know. We grew up in a pretty impoverished area of like Big Stone Gap, and like we never really had a ton. And then when I was 14, my dad left our family, so I went through high school as a very angry and sad teenager, and like it didn't help that I was one of the only black people. I didn't really know how to deal with those feelings, so I started writing poetry, and then I started kind of making songs per se, which was really just me writing a bunch of rhymes and putting it on Facebook. Like for me, the way music is like connecting in that sense is, you know, we have Appalachian, we have the South, we have the East Coast and the West Coast and stuff, and like we've all grown up differently and lived these different lives, but when you listen to music, there's all kinds of relatable aspects to it. And it's just amazing that we can listen to this music and I could potentially feel connected to someone across the world or across the United States just because we have similar tastes in music.
I think our heart and soul, as far as our roots to music in this area, is this area has always been a melting pot. So people have come here from all over the world to work initially in the coal mines. So everybody, when they come here, they brought different instruments. The banjo come from Africa, the fiddle come from Ireland. So whether it be bluegrass or old-time music or rock and roll, at that point it's Appalachian music to us because it's coming from here. And it just, it's a way to unite people and bring people together. It's a love language, it just preaches love.
Well, I often think of the music of the Appalachian region as being resilient. It's resilient music that's played by resilient people. Appalachia is oftentimes a difficult place to live or make a living. If you think about the ballads that people have passed on, those are ballads that often started in another country, maybe in the British Isles, and were carried over here by folks and passed on by their ancestors as a way to continue sharing sometimes true stories about happenings in the world.
So when they came here, they brought these tunes from wherever they come from, and they got kind of changed up and moved around, and they become other tunes, and so it just kept living on. House of the Rising Sun, I'm sure you've heard House of the Rising Sun. It was a traditional Appalachian tune. So the first time it was recorded was in 1937 in Middlesboro, Kentucky. And so now it's a rock song, you know, so you see that impact went from being an Appalachian ballad that was brought by who knows who brought that over here, and how it changed up to become House of the Rising Sun, but now it's a well-known rock tune.
Well, I think if we get to a place where our music and our dance and our culture and traditional skills aren't being passed on, you're going to see a real weakening of the communities in the Appalachian region. Like I said, oftentimes it's those traditions that have brought us together. A quilting circle in a community brings a whole host of folks together, but if they're not working on that quilt, then they may not get to know each other, and they may hold different views about one another because they don't know each other as people. So many of the folks that I know here who play music, if I didn't play music, I may not cross paths with them, and I may not know what kind of wonderful people they are or great community leaders that they are. I think it would be really detrimental to the Appalachian region if our culture was to weaken and disappear.
The country cabin is very historical. Not a lot of people really look at it that way. They just see it as a place to come to music every Saturday night. But we've been around going on 100 years since the original country cabin was built.
The original country cabin was built in 1936 under Roosevelt's WPA program. It was built as a community center where people would go and gather and they'd play music and various types of community events. After that program ended, it became a mattress factory at one point, but it was still often on use through that time as somewhat of a community center. Up through the 70s, they started using it much more. In 1986, we completely acquired the property and the property we're at now and started what we know today as the country cabin, which is where they started doing Appalachian cultural preservation, music, the arts, quilting, any type of Appalachian art. Our goal is to preserve that.
Music is music. There's only so many notes in music. Everybody can feel it in their heart and their soul and their bones. at the end of a Saturday night when people are leaving. They are sweaty, but they are happy. All these endorphins have been released because they've been playing around on that dance floor, they've been dancing, and they leave so much better than they came. And everybody's happy. Oh, I can't wait to see you again next week, you know. That, to me, that's all worth it right there.
I mean, music in general it's a connector. It brings people together. Throughout this region, there's so many different people creating and making music and being together making music. So for me, like with hip hop and rap, there's not a ton of us, but there's more than people think. When you think of music in Appalachia, and when you think of Appalachia in general, you think of pretty white-centric, not having many different people of color and other different individuals here. So it's important for me to let people know that there's all kinds of artists out here. We're all doing stuff, and it's really important for all of us to be able to create and do our craft and share it with the masses as much as we can.
Appalachian people are often mischaracterized as backwards or unintelligent or prejudiced people who have a backwards way of life, but we know that's not really the case. They have a hard work ethic, they're loving and caring, and I think that's really represented in their support for the arts and just how creative these people are. I think about my friends and family here in Big Stone Gap. I know some of the most talented musicians, some of the most talented dancers, wood carvers, and they really put their heart and soul into their work.
So the music and the Appalachian culture to me is so many different things to me. It's hard to explain what it does mean to me because I'm rooted so deep in it. I don't think if I ever lost my culture and Appalachian-based music, I'd ever get by anymore. I'd lose myself.
I wanted to leave here so bad, and I didn't want anything to do with Appalachia, but as I've grown this new respect for it, like I want people to know that I was born and raised here, like I've lived here my whole life, and I want people to know like Appalachia has more than just what people think. Like this place, sure, anywhere could be better, but like this place is beautiful. There's tons of beautiful human beings in this area, and I want people to know that, and I don't ever want to shy away from that ever again. So.